What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Last time, we saw how the Buu saga played out in this scenario. Given the way the last part ended, that caused some pretty big changes for the next part. Besides the obvious Cell being reincarnated, a lot of other things went differently last time. And as we continue on to this part, we're going to be going into a scenario that doesn't have Goku involved. At least, not as frequently as normal. You'll see why in this part. For this video, let's set a like goal of 3,500 likes. Once we hit that, I'll continue with another part of this series. Anyways, let's pick up from here. Following the last part, Goku returns to Otherworld. If you remember last time, he was never revived. There was no reason to revive him, and seemingly no way to actually do that if they wanted to. He just simply went back after the fight with Majin Buu. But it's not like he's going to be uninvolved with the story. Of course he's going to be watching things from Otherworld, as well as training himself to get stronger and stronger. He does have a lot of nice companions in Otherworld. Obviously there's King Kai, as well as Bubbles and Gregory, but I'm talking about the other people that he's met there. And with him returning here instead of Earth, that's just more time for him to train with his Otherworld friends. We'll see more of that in Goku as the scenario continues. Back on Earth, things return to pretty much how they were before the Buu saga even happened. There's no Goku around, so no changes here. Everyone's life resumes as normal. People go back to training, people go back to work, whatever. Almost like a giant pink magical blob didn't attack them a few months ago. Everyone continues their training as normal, with Saibo growing much stronger. And after he adopted that Saiyan Man identity at the World Tournament, he's actually kind of grown into it. He doesn't really need a full disguise like Gohan does. He doesn't really have an identity to hide, and it seems people weren't really worried about him looking like Cell. So he works as another great Saiyan Man. Now there's three: Gohan, Videl, and Saibo. I guess that makes him the Great Saibo Man. He thinks it's better than Great Saiyan Man 3. Of course, this continues for years. Everyone's still training and living their lives like normal. Kinda sucks that Goku's not here though. But like I said, he and King Kai are watching over, and eventually, they decide to warn Earth about something. King Kai had a visitor on his new planet, one that actually fought Goku. His name is Lord Beerus. He's looking for a Super Saiyan God and first came to King Kai's world, and he did find a Saiyan there, but it wasn't what he was looking for. But there's a pretty big issue. First, no one knows what a Super Saiyan God is. Second of all, from what they know, Goku's actually stronger than everyone due to his time training in Otherworld, and he was pretty easily defeated by Beerus. Third, Beerus has a temper. So mix those three things together and yeah, it's a recipe for disaster. Before they can even try and figure out what to do, Beerus arrives on Earth. With Whis, of course. Right away, he makes it clear what he's actually here for. He wants to find the Super Saiyan God. Of course there are some Saiyans on Earth, hybrids and one pure Saiyan. And they have Super Saiyan, but they don't know what a Super Saiyan God is. They ask Beerus if he'd like to test out Super Saiyan, but he's fine. He tells them he already fought a Saiyan named Goku who used that same form, and it didn't really do much. Not only is it surprising that he fought Goku, but the fact that he won against Goku. They're aware that Goku's probably way stronger now due to his constant training. So the fact that he lost pretty easily to Beerus, yeah, that's concerning. There are some other strong people on Earth. I mean, there's two Namekians that are pretty strong. But Beerus says unless there's some sort of super Namekian god, he doesn't really care. He's just looking for the Super Saiyan god. Alright, well, they don't really have any way of knowing what that is. But Saibo gets a great idea. Namekians are actually really good at lore keeping. So maybe they can consult the Namekians. And even though Beerus and Whis could just go to Namek on their own, Saibo actually has a faster way. He's perfected instant transmission just like he kinda used before. So he brings Beerus and Whis to Namek. With Moria as the elder, they just consult him. And they have the perfect plot device, the perfect source of info for what they need. The Namekian Book of Legends. Looking into it, they actually do find some stuff about a Super Saiyan God. They learn about the history behind it and what a Super Saiyan God actually is, and how to get one. Although there is kind of an issue that Saibo notices right away. They're going to need 6 Saiyans total for the ritual, 5 to actually do the ritual, and 1 to actually have it performed on him. That's going to be an issue. He takes Beerus and Whis back to Earth, and they try thinking of what to do. But Whis then comes up with a good idea. But first he needs to consult Videl. Videl then reveals that she's pregnant, and Whis somehow knew, which is kind of weird, but whatever, she doesn't question it. So that's another Saiyan right there. They could just bring Goku to Earth, but Beerus and Whis don't really want to do that. They'd rather not mess with Otherworld, and they could just do it with what resources they already have. So, who's the other Saiyan then? That's only 5, even with Videl's pregnancy. Beerus and Whis look at Saibo. From what he's told them, he's a reincarnation of Cell, an android who was part Saiyan. But Saibo thinks that's kinda weird. Isn't that kind of a long shot? I mean, he's a pure Namekian who was born as such. Even if he is Cell reincarnated, would he really have that ability to be a Saiyan? Or at least some of that essence within him? Well, it's worth a shot. And if worse comes to worse, Vegeta does have Tarble, but he'd rather not bring him here either. And if it doesn't work, so what? They have other options. This is just the easiest, and Beerus and Whis don't have to mess with the afterlife. And surprisingly, the ritual actually works. Seemingly when people are reincarnated in Dragon Ball, they do keep all the abilities of their former self, or at least all the attributes of their former self. We only really have Oob as a reference, but if you look at GT, that's proof enough. He was able to merge with Majin Buu, which shouldn't really be possible, unless he had the same attributes as regular Majins do, not to mention all the other abilities he possessed. So who's to say Saibo wouldn't really count as a Saiyan here? I mean, yeah, he isn't really one. But again, I'm just taking liberties to make the plot more interesting here. I've already discussed before that he's not a regular Namekian. Him being a reincarnation changes everything. So the ritual worked, but who did they perform it on? Well, the person they chose was actually Vegeta. It was best to try it on a pure Saiyan first, since he was the only pure Saiyan there. Not to mention of all the Saiyans there, he was the strongest. But of course, all that matters to them is that the ritual actually worked, and that's all that really mattered to Beerus too. Funny, it's Vegeta that was the Super Saiyan god. He did know Vegeta from before, but he never really expected this to happen. There's not really too much to cover from the fight here. It would go pretty similar to what Goku's went like. Obviously the specifics of it would be different, but it's not really worth going into because the result would be the same. Vegeta would still lose, but then Beerus would still see the potential in him. So, what happens resulting from this? Well, Saibo kinda wants a god form of his own. He always does want to get stronger. And seeing this, he wonders if it's possible for him to get something similar. I mean, if he was able to be part of the ritual, shouldn't that mean he could access something similar to that form? Well, he hopes that's the case. But even better, maybe he can go back to Namek and check more on the Namekian Book of Legends, seeing if there's anything in there about Namekians becoming gods. Who knows, if there is something, that would apply to Piccolo too. So, the two of them take a brief trip to Namek, going there to study everything that they can. And from what they find, it turns out that there is something for them. Of course for Saibo it might be completely different because he's not a normal Namekian, but for Piccolo, he actually sees the next step in his evolution. He wasn't aware that he had access to forms like that. But then he remembers that he's in a Salad Saiyan video and I play favorites with Piccolo all the time. So he sees why this is happening. This only encourages them even more. Of course they were going to get stronger regardless, but this is completely new. Eventually Vegeta ends up going to Beerus' planet, with Piccolo and Saibo tagging along. Well, they weren't really invited, they teleported there. And they expected Beerus to be mad about it, but they brought food along. Hopefully that's a good enough gift, and he accepts it. I mean, it's food. He'd never turn that down. So the two of them begin training with Vegeta on Beerus' planet. What about Gohan though? He still is training after all on Earth, trying to get stronger and stronger. Saibo is one of his rivals and friends too. The issue with him is he can't just leave Earth like them. He has responsibilities here that he needs to tend to. But thankfully he has other ways of catching up. Obviously he can try and find new methods of training. Not to mention, him being a hybrid Saiyan is a huge help. He grows a lot faster than normal Saiyans would, or anyone else for that matter. So yeah, even if he's not getting any god forms or whatever, he'll be fine. He'll have his own way of keeping up with everyone. And speaking of Gohan, he faces the perfect test right after, and that's Frieza. He returns from the dead after being revived, plotting his revenge against everyone on Earth, specifically Goku. However, from what his forces tell him, Goku's been absent for a while. He's shown up here and there, but they don't know what happened to him. It seems he's off planet for some reason. Whatever, as long as they attack Earth, maybe that'll draw him out to come there. After some brief training, Frieza heads to Earth with his army, and the only people there that he encounters are the humans and Gohan. Piccolo, Saibo, and Vegeta are off planet. And Goku, well, he's dead. And obviously Frieza's army is pretty easy to take out. It was never that tough originally anyways, and really the only person they're missing right now is Piccolo, so fighting the army won't be a problem. Then Frieza himself steps off the ship, and they notice something very different about him. Of course, he looks the same, but they can tell he's gotten a lot stronger. He's trained. They know that they have to be careful. They don't know how much stronger he is than before, but they know to be wary. Although, Gohan feels confident. No matter what happens, he feels that he can take on Frieza. And this isn't him being overconfident like before. He realized that Frieza is a very credible threat. And even if Frieza does have some sort of new power, Gohan feels he can defeat Frieza before he uses that power. Frieza is also underestimating Gohan right now. In his first form, he starts out by shooting a laser at Gohan, which does absolutely nothing. Gohan's not even phased and the laser just bounces off him. He keeps shooting attacks at Gohan, but they do absolutely nothing. Alright, he may have underestimated the Saiyan. Now he'll try and see how Gohan fares against his final form. And obviously this does phase Gohan more. Frieza's definitely stronger than where he was on Namek. But Gohan can tell, Frieza's still being too overconfident, a mistake that Gohan's made before. Gohan's going to use this to his advantage. He can tell Frieza's also hiding something, possibly another form beyond this. The way Frieza's acting and the things he's saying kinda implies this, and Gohan picks up on it. So, he has a good plan. He's going to feign weakness for the time being, fighting Frieza in base. He's actually able to somewhat keep up with Frieza, while pretending he's weaker than he actually is. The two of them trade blows for a brief while, and it seems like Gohan's losing ground. Frieza laughs. Is this really all he's got? He doesn't even have to use his new power. It seems like training all that time was kinda worthless, and that confirms Gohan's suspicions. He does have a new power. On Beerus's planet, everyone's watching. They could sense Frieza's power and consider going there, but Whis tells them that it might not be necessary. Obviously, Gohan's not in his full power yet, and from what Whis can tell, he has a good plan. And Whis is exactly right. Gohan decides to take no chance. This is his opportunity. Frieza thinks he has the upper hand, and Gohan completely reverses it. Instantly, he powers up into Super Saiyan 2. Frieza's stunned by this. The sight of another Super Saiyan terrifies him, and that only gives Gohan more of an opening. It would be nice to see Frieza at his full power, and it probably would be fun to fight him. But Gohan doesn't know how strong Frieza is in that form, and he doesn't want to take that chance. Immediately in Super Saiyan 2, he goes for the kill. He vanishes from Frieza's sight, and Frieza looks around rapidly, but he doesn't see anyone. He then feels two hands on his back and realizes Gohan's right behind him, but he can't react. It's too late. Immediately, Gohan launches blasts from both his hands, incinerating Frieza before he could even transform. And just like that, Frieza is stopped due to a smart decision from Gohan. He should do this more often in fights. Well, with Frieza, he was kinda unpredictable. He is curious about whatever new form he had, though. But this is also a huge confidence boost for Gohan. He's defeated another enemy, and it shows that his training is going really well. So now, I want to cover a bit of everyone's training. I've said they've all been training, but really, only Gohan got the spotlight here so far. But there have been some nice developments, specifically with everyone on Beerus' planet. For one, Vegeta's been practicing more with Super Saiyan God, and he was even able to evolve it somehow, getting it much stronger than before by combining it with Super Saiyan. This created a new blue-haired form, so he just simply calls it Super Saiyan Blue. You know, if he lended Gohan God Ki somehow, maybe he can get access to this form. But as far as Vegeta can tell, Gohan's interested in going his own route, and of course he's not going to come to Beerus' planet, so they'd have to wait until they go back to Earth. But Vegeta's growing far stronger, and he's very pleased with his progress. As for Gohan, he actually is working towards improving Super Saiyan 2. He remembers that Super Saiyan 3 thing that he heard from Goku, and actually he has briefly tapped into it before, but he noticed some pretty glaring flaws with it, so before he even tries to use that, he's going to try and work around it. For all he knows, he might find something even better than Super Saiyan 3, maybe something between 2 and 3. Piccolo's also made some great progress too. With what he learned from Namek, he actually knows of the Namekian god now, and he's able to unlock a god form of his own. The changes aren't as drastic, but in terms of power the increase is definitely noticeable. I guess we could simply refer to this form as a Namekian god. He sees what Vegeta did by combining Super Saiyan God with Super Saiyan. And obviously he can't really do that because he doesn't have a super form of his own like Super Saiyan. But it gets him thinking, maybe he can upgrade this form in some way. He could probably power it up somehow in the future. So that's what he's working towards now. As for Saibo, well, it's a bit more complicated. He actually does access the Namekian God form. But something's weird about it. It's not the exact same as what Piccolo has. Sure, it looks the same on the surface and it does make him stronger. But Saibo can tell that something's off with it. Not necessarily in a bad way, but it's just not the same as what Piccolo has. Since he sells reincarnation, his potential is so much different from everyone else. If you look back to my analogy with Oob before, think about how that would affect Saibo. Technically, he could do any form that he wants. Saiyan forms, Frieza forms, Namekian forms. Obviously I won't sit here and give him all those different forms, like I'm not going to make third form Saibo. That would look pretty goofy, but feel free to do it if you guys want. But in all seriousness, he's looking towards getting something of his own. Something really unique that combines basically everything that Cell is made of. No, it's not going to be Golden Namekian Super Saiyan God, but rather just some unique form of his own. For now, he'll be working with Namekian God. And it's great that everyone's getting stronger because the Universe 6 tournament is coming up. Although, there is one more person I want to cover, and that's Goku. Like I mentioned before, he's still in Otherworld training with everyone there. Obviously, he's gotten much stronger, even though he doesn't have any God forms or whatever. Consider what he's been doing in Otherworld. He's been there for over a decade, and you don't have to sleep there. He has all the energy he needs and all the time he needs. Plus some pretty great partners there, and some great techniques that he's been learning. But he's still trying to surpass his own limits. With all the time there, he's more than perfected Super Saiyan 3. With him being dead, of course the flaws of it don't affect him, but with how much he's used it, he's mastered it to a point where that wouldn't even be a problem if he was alive. Really, he's been doing this so he could use Kaioken on top of Super Saiyan 3. And at his peak right now, he's got Super Saiyan 3 with Kaioken times 50, which is hugely strong combined with all his training. Although he feels he can accomplish more. He's got some good rivals in Otherworld to help him along the way, such as a guy he met named Pikkon, but he's also going to try some new forms of training. Hey, you know what? King Kai knows the other Kais, right? Maybe he can try training with them, whether that be the other Kais alongside King Kai, or even people higher up the ladder. But we'll save more Goku for next time. This is where we'll leave off for now. So, what did you guys think about this part, and what do you think will happen next time? Leave any thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. I'll be sure to check them out to see what you guys think. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like. And let's try to hit that like goal from the beginning of the video so we can get another part of the series. If you haven't already, why not subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon to get notified about any future parts of this What If, or any other videos that I upload on my channel. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.